Real estate is a team sport. That's one of my common slogans, one of my go-to phrases. And of course, real estate is going to have agents, it's going to have brokers, it's going to have title companies, closing companies, attorneys, lenders, and of course, the all-important mortgage brokers. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the opportunity and the privilege to speak with Arlicia Jones, commonly referred to as the Mortgage Lady. This is one you want to grab a pencil, grab some paper, open up the notepad on your phone, take some notes. I'm sure there'll be a few jewels dropped in this one. Miss Jones, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for joining me this morning on ReFi. We've talked about this for a couple of weeks. Finally got it together. Finally got on the same schedule. So again, I appreciate you logging in and spending some time with me this morning. So for me, you're welcome. So for me, real estate started with and I'm probably going to age myself here, but real estate started with me purchasing a infomercial package from a guy by the name of Carlton Sheets. It was a no money down program that I purchased long before Grant Cardone's and all of these real estate gurus now, but that was my introduction into real estate. You are a mortgage broker. How did you get started with that?
I actually started out as a real estate agent. So that's how I got into it. I started out as a real estate agent. I was working in the government sector and municipalities, local municipalities, and lost my job. And my husband at the time had just started in real estate. So I said, well, I'm going to go, get my real estate license. So lost my job. I have 3 kids, so been married 17 years. So at that point, I had a baby. So she was maybe 2 years old, 3 years old. She was really young, my youngest.
Okay.
And, I'm like, okay, I lost my job and we need income. I could have went and got another job, I guess, right? But I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try this real estate out with my husband, because nobody gonna fire you when you're in real estate, right? You kind of make or break it yourself.
Sure.
I did this in a week. I went, took the class, did my background, passed the class, passed the test in less than a week. I mean, it was maybe 10 days at the most. So I didn't like being a realtor. Okay, I didn't like being a realtor.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, you either like it or you don't, right? And it's one or the other. For me, at least for me, it is. And I was using a mortgage broker at that time that messed up a deal for me. And adding that to the fact that I was just wondering, can I be a realtor? And then this mortgage broker messed up this loan for my client. And I said, you know what? I can't have this. So I went and got my license. I went and got my mortgage license, and I said, this is where I need to be at, right here on this side of the table. And I've been doing mortgages for, at least, I guess, 6, 7 years now. Yep.
So that's interesting. So you didn't like being a real estate agent, and that's common. What didn't you like about it?
Everything mostly, right?
Right. Right.
I just couldn't see myself just doing that, just doing what I was doing, showing houses or meeting with the listing agent, the seller. And I just didn't like it. It just wasn't something I felt like I can do long term as far as being in this industry. In mortgages, I love what I do. I actually like what I do. I enjoy what I do a lot. And I couldn't say that about being a realtor.
I'm a licensed real estate agent in Georgia, and I think there are parts of it I don't like either. But for me, I always see the angles of, I wonder how much this house is could rent for. Like in a year's time, like what would be the appreciation? Like I'm always thinking about the NOI and the cash on cash return. And that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about. But so that's what, for me as a real estate agent, I primarily deal with investors. So I understand what you're coming from. But onto the mortgage part, you said you really enjoy it a lot. What do you enjoy about it?
For me, probably, the most enjoyable files would be the ones where people just maybe think they can't buy, and then you show them they can, and we end up closing, right? For people who come to me, they know they can buy, they're buying $1 million home, it's like they got their stuff together. Great, I want to help you, But those people who say, I don't think I can buy, and then you show them, hey, you can buy. It's nothing, that feeling when they close and they're super happy and thankful, that feeling of appreciation that you get from them, it never gets old, time after time again. So for me, that would be where I find my most joy at, is just helping them, educating them. And homeownership is important. At least for me, I can attest this just from seeing my clients, it is a way to build wealth. And people don't understand it. People don't get it. Some people, I'll never buy a home. Honestly, it is a surefire way to build wealth really fast, really quickly. So just adding that to it, knowing that, when someone buys a home, they're literally setting themselves up for their future. I don't know, you just can't beat that feeling.
Sure. Talked about building wealth. Why do you think that's so important for people to understand that real estate is a tried and true way to build wealth?
It is. Where can you, if you live in a house, what can you do just that you can get paid just by living there? You're literally getting paid by living there, At the end of the day, you have to have a roof over your head. You got to live somewhere.
Sure.
Now, you may not get rich today. Tomorrow, it may take more years than it does someone else, but the market will always appreciate. Doesn't matter if it goes down, it will always appreciate. If someone bought a house, prior to 2008 and kept their house, their value is up, right? The key is always buy what you can afford. Don't try to keep up. My last name Jones. Don't try to. So I hate to say it, but don't keep up with the Joneses. Buy what you can afford, right? Because you have to have a roof over your head. And at some point in time, that you will be able to sell that property for a profit. My first home we bought, me and my husband, we sold that home. We walked away with about $80,000 after 2 years. We used that $80,000 to buy my second house. The second house we bought, we won't get into numbers, okay? But I sold it for double what I paid for in 2 years. Double what I was one of the first people in my neighborhood to sell. After I put my house on the market, it was a neighborhood of about 300 or so homes. Everybody went to sell. I mean, we helped set a record for that neighborhood. Everybody went to selling. And I mean, I just don't know how I don't know how you can make that much money in 2 years.
Sure. On
a job, on anything, right? Because you're gonna put work in to get there. I didn't have to do anything but live in the home and make sure I kept it up. That's all I needed to do. And I was able to sell it to somebody who bought it cash, and we closed in 2 weeks. So you can't do that in an apartment. People walking away with 6 figures. If you're making $50,000 a year on your job, just think it's gonna take you 2 years just to make that, and you actually have to go to work and do it. This here with real estate, you just got to come home and go to sleep every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, understood.
And then you keep doing it over and over. So I used the money from that home. I bought my home I live in now. And And now that home, I've been in a year and a half, and it's already appreciated in value. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm still young, so don't, I'm not looking to stay in my house for 30 years. Not now. I'm not looking to pay off my mortgage. I'm looking to keep doing this little trick that I see people do. I remember when I first got my license as a real estate. We had a client, and this client, this is exactly what he was doing. He bought a property, he sold it, he made like $100 and something thousand on it after 2 years. He went and bought another property. He did the same. We had sold him about 4 or 5 homes in a matter of like 5 or 6 years. I mean, he was doing it like every year, just literally living, selling, and honestly just walking away with money every single time he did it. The last time he did it, he walked away with like $300 something thousand. Sometimes people get into their homes and they want to stay there forever. And my thing is, especially if it's your first home, it doesn't need to be your forever property, not your first one, right? Most times when people buy their first homes, they're leaving it in 3 or 4 years. So for me, I just keep that same mindset. And if you do, I promise you, you will build wealth. You will.
Yeah, that is a common strategy, and I think it's one that it's the next step of the quote unquote American dream, right? So everybody preaches, a lot of people preach the home ownership portion of it, right? They preach the low down payments, 3.5%, so forth and so on, just ownership. But then I think people forget to add the strategy piece of, like you just said, this is not your forever home. Like, buy the house, keep it up, and then in a few years you should be looking to upgrade, and then the equity you get from that home helps you buy a bigger house. And so the wash, rinse, repeat kind of comes into play.
That's it right there. That's it. But it's something about, I don't know, maybe from people's grandmothers or grandparents, when they bought a home, they lived there forever. Right. And they still got grandma's house, but they did that because, number one, it was probably really hard for them to buy, right? During those times, they might have, they appreciated that, oh, I was able to buy. They might have been like, one of the first people in their families to buy a home. So they weren't really leaving that property. They were in that property 30 years. They paid it off. They paid $10,000 for the property, 1970, yeah. But now, in this new generation of homeowners, who honestly need to have strategies of other ways to increase their, their net worth, this is a way to do it. Everybody want to be self-employed. Everybody want to, make extra money. Everybody want to say you got to have multiple streams of income. Literally, home ownership, and you don't have to be an investor to do this. You could just be a home buyer.
So there are several buzzwords, right? Passive income, financial freedom, generational wealth, and house hacking. House hacking has
house hacking is fraud. No, you say tips. Say tips, dearie.
Yeah.
Okay, house tips. Because you can't hack a guideline that's black and white, but you can. Yeah. You got tips. Okay, we got tips now. We got maneuvers, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes these house hacking people be, I don't want to say it, but they be out here trying to tell people how to do the wrong stuff.
Well, so let's drill down just a little bit, because there is a proper way to do house hacking, right? So the house hacking I'm talking about is you buy a small multifamily duplex, triplex, or fourplex, or four family. You buy the whole building. You live in one unit as a primary residence.
That's the hack people don't want to do. Right there, you live, but they don't want to live there. They want to rent it all out.
Right, okay, they want to rent the whole building out. Yeah.
Y'all going to jail.
Yeah. See, I told the audience, I told y'all listening, you pull out your iPhone, pull out your phone, open up that notepad. This is some stuff that is being actively promoted online telling people to house hack, and then in so many words saying, well, you don't really have to live there. You know, they'll say, well, maybe if you just get the utilities in your name and keep mail going there, that satisfies the house hack laws. Ladies and gentlemen, it does not.
The rule says, especially FHA says, you must intend to live in this property for 1 year as your primary home. And mortgage fraud, what people don't know is the number one fraud with mortgages is occupancy, meaning you tell the lender, I'm going to do something with a property, but you're not. It could be a first home, second home. You're saying, or an investment, it doesn't matter, but occupancy, meaning I'm telling you I'm going to live here, but I'm not. I'm telling you it's going to be a second home, but it's going to be a primary home. I'm telling you it's going to be an investment property because I want to have less paperwork to put down, but I'm really going to live in this property. Occupancy is, that's the number one, and they catch you. They catch you, they mail you something, that bill come back. It returns to the sender. People think that people actually don't go to jail for mortgage fraud, but they do. They really actually do. And when you get caught, you may be the one person that actually get caught. And I never, it's punishable by time in jail and fines. So, and another hack that people like to say is, well, I'm gonna buy a house in my name, I'm not gonna put it in my husband's name. Well, it doesn't matter. And they say because they think they can get what they're trying to do is buy multiple houses as a first-time home buyer.
Dig into that a little bit more. Is that a conventional loan, or is that FHA?
It doesn't matter, but they're coming here saying, well, I want to buy a home, but I don't want my spouse on it. So I say, well, it doesn't matter if your spouse is on it or not. You know, you guys are married. Your spouse is going to show up on that deed. They're going to show up as having ownership in this property. So I want to be able to save his credit, is what they say. I want to save their credit to buy another home. Well, even if you buy another home, with whether his name is on it or not, it's still not going to be considered a primary home, or you're not going to be able to go buy a second house that you're not going to live in with an FHA mortgage with 3.5% down. That's their intent when they say it. Gotcha. And then when I tell them you can't do it, they say, oh, well, I thought, I heard on social media, don't put your spouse on there because you can buy multiple homes. Yeah, you can buy multiple homes whether your spouse is on it or not, but you got to put more money down when you buy that second one. So that's why I say hack. That's why I say when you say hack, it just got that social media fraud background going. And I'm saying, okay, tips to it. So, all right, you have mortgage tips that you can do, which is like you said, buying that multifamily, living it for a year, rent it out, buy your second one, use the income from that. Now you got, a 4-unit property that's paying you, and you can buy your second one. But when you say hack, people,
Sure.
I've seen people go back who talk about hacks and go back and correct themselves because the way they put it out there, either they intentionally or ignorantly made it seem like people can just commit fraud. I've had to tell people like, hey, that's what you're doing is mortgage fraud, and they're like, well, I'm like, you have to live there. So you got to tell me what you're going to do. You gonna live there or not? Because I do this for a living. I can't play games with my license.
So that was my next question. If somebody does it and they're not, honest with you.
Well, I'm pretty sure people have,
sure.
Right? I'm pretty sure they have. But my goal is just to make sure I cover I see right. So you tell me you're gonna live there. It's nothing. I mean, what can I do? I can't. I can't say you lying, right? After I informed you of the rules of it, okay. If they lie to me, I can't help that. I doubt people, but I think people just like we've said, we see stuff online and they just run with it. I see so much. If I had to comment on everything I saw, I would be tired. I just scroll. I just let it be.
Sure. So oftentimes I hear the term lender and mortgage broker kind of used hand in hand. Are they the same, or is there a difference between the two?
There's a big difference. So I'm not a lender. A lender is, in the correct terms, is someone who is lending you the money that you actually need to purchase the property. Then you have uh, a mortgage broker. I'm a mortgage broker, so I don't work for any bank. I don't work for any lending institution. I am like the facilitator of helping you find the best rate. So I got 17 different lenders I use. So if you come to me, I'm going to look at my lenders and say who's going to give my client the best product, the best rate. And then you have loan officers who work for the lender. So it's like saying, I'm like the Uber driver, I guess, right? I can go pick up food from anybody and deliver you back a product. You got some people who work for just Chick-fil-A or just McDonald's, and all they can give you is what is at McDonald's, what is at Chick-fil-A, right? If they can't give you a chicken salad, a Chick-fil-A at McDonald's and McDonald's at Chick-fil-A, they can only give you whatever product they have. So you got mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, the banker people, those are the people who work just for that one place. And then you have the lender, the person that's actually giving you the money. And you said, oh, you went to, I like to use an example. You went into Chase, and Chase knew Bank of America had the best product for you. Would Chase tell you to go to Bank of America?
Probably not.
Probably not, right?
Probably
Okay.
not.
So I don't work for Chase, Bank of America, or anybody. So whoever has the best product for you, I'm gonna give it to you because nobody owns me.
Understood. So in this current environment, we are, just about Q4 of the end of the year. Rates are high compared to what they've been in the last few years. What's some of the products that maybe your go-to products for people who have challenging credit? And I'm gonna let you establish that bar. What's the lowest credit score somebody could have to actually purchase their first property?
It depends on the loan product. Okay. If it's FHA, you can do 580 with 3.5. You can go down to 500. Some lenders 550, but that requires 10%. VA does not have a minimum credit score requirement. Some lenders have their overlays. So could you have no credit, really bad credit with a VA and still buy? Sure. Conventional, typically they want you at a 620. And some products you can go lower than that. Here's the thing, if you got low credit, right, you're going to have a higher interest rate. That's just the nature of the game. So you have to, I tell people, count the cost on how you want to get in it, right? They are saying that these house prices are not coming down. I mean, every job report that comes out is not bad. So these prices are just going to keep going up. And here's the thing about it. For the prices to come down, now I'm not no, market expert or anything like that, but in order for prices to come down or for it to be a crash, it needs to be a reason. And the reason just can't be because the price is high. That's not the reason that prices, plummet. There actually has to be a reason for it. In 2008, during the crash, the reason was it was mortgage fraud. So prices plummeted. Well, there's no fraud right now. There is no reason other than people are overpaying or paying more than people are asking for their homes. So it's driving the market up. And then there isn't enough inventory on the market. So it's just going up, going up. And I think that if people understood that even if their credit is bad, even if they have that challenging credit score, they'll get in that house today, knowing that it won't be this cheap in a couple months. And when rates come down, because rates will come down, now that will come down, right? It has to. It's not going to just keep going up. If you can afford the mortgage payment today with the higher rate, when the rates come down and you're able to refinance it, you're definitely going to be able to afford it. You're going to have more wiggle room in your payment, right? So you're just going to be on the up and up on both ends. It's all about buying what you can afford. as long as you stick to that key, like if you take anything away from this, Arlicia said, buy what you can afford. It doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as it's in your budget, and then you know that I'm not going to stay here forever. When the rates come down and you got room in your payment to either stay there, rent it out, buy something else, you're going to be good to go. People are stuck on, well, I got lower credit or the rates are high. Honestly, I don't think it's the best way to look at the market and what's going on.
Yeah, that's one of the, as a real estate agent, that's one of the things I hear is people say, well, I'm going to wait because the interest rates are high. And my instant response is, well, when the rates are lower, the prices go up. Because
Exactly.
because the cost of money is cheaper, right? And so, like you, some of these reports that I've read or have literally said that this is probably the last time the masses of people will be able to afford a home because the prices are going to go up. Like they're not coming down. And so I think in line with you that people should, if you can get it now, you probably should go ahead and get it.
Get you something.
Those who want to contact you, to follow you, where can they find you? You got some social media, you got all that good stuff?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram, the Mortgage Lady Arlicia, Arlicia. And that's really where I am. Facebook, nobody really uses that anymore. So catch me on Instagram.
Sure. Facebook?
Catch me on Instagram.
That's funny. That's funny. Before we actually wrap up the show, I always like to end with a little word play, right? I call it the final five, where I'll say 5 words or 5 phrases, and you tell me what's the first thing that come to mind for you, right? It won't be nothing off the wall. But the first word is family. What does family mean to you?
Just happiness.
Good. Next word, excellence. What is excellence to you?
How I operate. Oh, just one word. A first thing that comes.
First thing comes to mind, the phrase, however you
Business.
like to answer it. Say it again. Business.
Mm-hmm.
Next word, sacrifice.
Family.
I like that. I like how you tied that back together. Next word, relationships.
My circle.
Before I get to the very last word, expand on that a little. How has your circle changed since you started in just the real estate world? How has your circle changed?
I think when you grow, your circle changes just because growing causes either, expansion, meaning you need more people in your circle, or for you to draw back from certain people that were or was in your circle. So for me, I still have my core relationships that I've always had. I don't necessarily have a lot of people in my circle, and that's not for, any reason other than I'm probably more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. But I just feel like if you are growing, that your circle will change, just because that just comes with the territory. And it can be good or bad. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to always be bad.
Yeah, my go-to phrase is growth causes separation. So that, worship. What does worship mean to you?
Jesus, God. I have to say Jesus because, We in this
Understood.
new era, but Jesus, my, where I find my peace.
Do and this is a bonus question, so this is certainly unplanned. But do you find that do you attach your efforts to a higher purpose, like a higher calling? Do you believe that you are in the lane that you're in to help them accomplish something?
I do. I wholeheartedly do. I went to school for psychology. Here I am doing mortgages. And I do, I honestly do. I feel I've had people tell me because there's certain things that I have done or will do to make that have made sure people, you know, gotten into their home. And when I say I just mean, we have to be paid, but I've literally done deals for free. I've literally done deals where I've not made 1 cent on it because I wanted to make sure somebody bought a home, right? And I know that's not on me. I know that's not me because I don't want to work for free, right?
Sure.
So if it was me doing it and just if it was just me, I know it would be plenty of people I wouldn't help. It would be plenty of files I would move straight on by. But I keep God in my business and how I do things, how I operate, how I treat people. No matter who you are, where you're from, your background, your anything. I always want people to walk away from me and say, they may not use these words, but that they felt the love of God for them, right? So I keep that as my center with how I do everything. I don't have any shame. I don't have any shame about my beliefs. Listen, it has been the Holy Spirit that has given me solutions to close some of these deals that I've closed that have been really tough. So you guys, I just closed a deal last week. A lady bought a car, $1,000 payment, and we were already at the max of a DTI. And the solution that I had, I've never done that on a deal before. I called the bank and we closed. And I'm telling you, it was one of these things that, you got to give me my GOAT. Okay.
That's funny.
No, for real. So I'm like, I literally, I just heard a small voice that said, try this. And I emailed the bank and it worked. But I say all that to say, yeah, I attribute everything to God.
As you should. And what states you are licensed to lend in? Touch on those real quick.
So for investment properties, I can lend in most states. For a primary home or a second home, it needs to be Florida, Georgia, Texas, or New Jersey or Colorado.
Florida, Georgia, Texas, New Jersey, or Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arlicia, the mortgage lady, make sure you follow her on Instagram. I'll put a couple of links for the name of the company is
Elite Lending Solutions.
Elite Lending Solutions. I'll put up a couple of links for that. And when you talk to her, tell her Darian sent you. Tell her you heard her on the podcast. And that's how we keep the circle tight.